What's up, guys? Welcome back to another review of WandaVision. Today we are reviewing episode 8, titled Previously On. So, yes, and so this is the penultimate episode of the season. Next week will be the series finale of the season. So, this is very exciting. So, we're really starting to get into down to the wire now with this, and the storyline starting to get in some interesting places. This episode, of course, revealed it was entirely a flashback episode, basically showing a bunch of stuff about Wanda's past, and it was quite interesting and quite good indeed. And also, at this point, also, if there are people who still believe that Mephisto is possibly the villain behind all this, and he's working with Agatha, like, I really doubt it. Like, honestly, this one, like I said in several of the prior reviews, I don't believe Mephisto is involved with this show at all, like with the villain or anything. And like at this point, and it's super obvious he's not. Because last episode, people were saying how when they saw that bug inside Agatha's house, which people said was a cicada, people were saying, "Oh, wait, that could be Mephisto," because the first time he shows up in the comics was as a bug, like as a cicada bug on the wall somewhere. But it's not. It was just a little thing that like Agatha turned into a bird at one point in the episode, so it's clearly not him. So like I don't know. I just keep saying Mephisto's definitely not the villain. So many other people kept saying no, he probably is. He definitely is not. Like at this point, it's clearly just Agatha is the villain, not Mephisto. So yeah. And of course, this episode now, this was the longest episode of the show so far. It clocks in about 44 minutes, which of course discounting the previously on section and the credits, but still the longest episode so far. And I think reportedly the next episode might be even longer, so possibly maybe an hour long is what I'm guessing if it is longer, which even if it is an hour long, like I said, the credits and the previously on section, but still, it'll be, I assume, longer than this one as well. But of course, this episode, of course, it opens with showing us a flashback to Agatha's origins, of course, back during the Salem witch trials from 1693. Of course, if you didn't know in the comics, Agatha is a witch from that time period, so she's very, very old. So this is one of the oldest. This is one of the oldest time points we've seen in the MCU. Well, it's not the oldest. That we have seen stuff like from the Thor films that's older, but in terms of on Earth, this is the oldest thing we've seen. No, never mind. What am I talking about? Because no, the opening of Thor with the Frost Giants, with the Asgardians fighting them, was on Earth. Forget what I'm saying there. Whatever. But yeah, so we see, of course, you know, it wasn't like a thing where townsfolk were just tying someone up, accusing them as a witch. It was a cult of witches who were aware of each other, but then they tied up Agatha and were going to kill her because she was manipulating dark magic. She was claiming she wasn't, and when they tried killing her for this, you know, what's the word? Oh crap, I forgot what this word is. For her, like, you know, for her misbehavior, let's just go back because I forgot what the freaking word is I was trying to say. So for her misbehavior with the dark magic, they tried killing her, but unfortunately the dark magic, you know, she has in her, then kills them, including her mom. And she claims she can't control and stuff, but I think she possibly can a little bit, so yeah, but then we cut to, of course, the modern day, and of course Agatha starts spilling a lot of details and secrets now, saying how, you know, we learned a lot of stuff in this episode. Like, for one thing, she reveals how, she tells us that the real Pietro's body is still buried halfway across the world and, like, full of bullets, like, saying how, yeah, this isn't the actual Pietro's body I have here, it's just not, so he's buried still there, it's just some other guy. Which they still have not explained what the deal is with Evan Peters, though, because I'm I'm gonna be so pissed if they reveal in the next episode that, oh, it's just a coincidence he looks like Evan Peters, because you can't, because, like, everyone knows this is gonna tie into Multiverse of Madness, so, and, like, we know the X-Men are coming, so it'd be a massive disappointment if you just threw in Evan Peters just for the heck of it, like, for no actual connection, no tie-in to the X-Men movies. Like, that will suck, like, really badly. Like, it just can't just not be there for a fun joke coincidence. Like, it can't be. There has to be some legitimate reason why it's Evan Peters. But we'll find out next episode and such, and so, yeah. And then, of course, Agatha, of course, she has Wanda dead to rights. I guess that's the right term to use. Probably not. She has, like, this spell that's preventing her, that she casts that's preventing her from using her powers. And Agatha's very interested in Wanda. She's very intrigued, like, how'd you do all this, Wanda? How'd you, like, create this whole dome capturing people? Wanda's saying, I didn't do this. And then, of course, she takes Wanda through her greatest hits from her past and such. And we didn't get to fully see Wanda's origin. We've always heard about it, and they've talked about it in the prior films, but now we're actually getting to see it on full display in her mind. So we go through her mind, we see, of course, a flashback to her and Pietro when they were younger with their parents, and we learn the connection about why, like, all these episodes have been based around a sitcom of some kind from different eras. We learn that back because, of course, Sokovia was a war-written land. It was like just war and chaos and fighting all the time. So like, as a kind of a scapegoat for them, they'd watch sitcoms all the time to, like, you know, escape from reality and kind of just like laugh a bit. So, and they had like a collection of old like sitcoms, like they had Bewitched there and Malcolm in the Middle, and they had also films like The Addams Family and such. So like, that explains why a lot of these things were very much like, oh yeah, and the Dick Van Dyke Show. So it explains why a lot of these sitcom episodes have been similar to these other actual sitcoms like Dick Van Dyke, Back in the Middle, Bewitched, because she watched those shows growing up, which makes sense. And so of course they're watching the show, and then of course, as we all know, a Stark missile hits their house and it goes off, killing their parents. And then another Stark missile lands in the house, and they're trapped in their house now because of the first bomb. And now this one, they're scared that it might go off too. It never does, so they're trapped for 2 days. This we all know and such. It's a quite sad scene, because like Wanda saying how they were watching an episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show, where apparently that episode ended with Lauren revealing that all this stuff that happened was just a dream. And that's what Wanda kind of says to, you know, hold out hope, saying, you know, at the end, we're all gonna learn it was just a dream, it was a bad nightmare. You know, this isn't real, which is quite sad because this is real. So, yeah. And then, of course, we cut to a scene of her, you know, getting her powers when she was with Hydra. And a missed opportunity, I must say, to not show Aaron Taylor-Johnson Quicksilver. Like, I really thought they were. I really thought, like, after we saw young Pietro, I thought, we have to see, like, freaking, like, young, like, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, like, adult Quicksilver from the MCU. But we don't, which, I mean, like, it's not the biggest disappointment, but still, I think it's a bit of a letdown. I would have liked to see him, because, like, we have him, Peters here. It would have been great to have also Aaron Taylor-Johnson here. Cause I mean, we know he's still the Quicksilver of the MCU. They showed him in a recap thing, and they told us, of course, his dead body's still there. But still, it would have been great to see him still. It would have been nice to see him get his powers too. But what can you do? So, and it's a very, very interesting scene. We learn more about how Wanda and Pietro were several people who volunteered for Hydra because they wanted to change the world and such. And of course, and we learned that several test subjects did not survive, but Wanda and Pietro did. And as we see in this scene, we never saw this before in the MCU, we see when they put Wanda in the room with Loki's scepter, like this, what happens is that the stone from the Mind Stone just kind of goes to Wanda, like, and I think, which they never saw it before, I think prior they just have people go up to the scepter and like try and do something with it, but then they die. But no, the stone comes to her, breaks out of the blue shell it's in, and like basically communicates with her, and she sees a vision of like a person, like I think future her, or a vision of someone looking like the classic Scarlet Witch to her, which I was a bit confused by. I'm like, wait, what's this? Like, is he... I know it's the Mind Stone, so like, is the Mind Stone like peeking into her future mind, possibly? Which I'm not sure how that works. Maybe that's not it. I don't know, because I'm not really sure why there was someone dressed like a classic Scarlet Witch she was seeing. So it might tie into another thing at the end of the episode, I'll say. So, but then she gets her powers unlocked, and so it's very interesting. And what's weird is that Hydra, their security cam footage has no actual footage of that happening. It just weirdly cuts to her, you know, walking in, and she's on the floor after it happens. They're like, what the heck happened in there? So, again, I still would have loved to see what happened with Pietro then. Like, how did it go with him? Like I don't know. So, I mean, that would have been cool to see. And Agatha's very convinced that Wanda is an actual just sorcerer, like, had powers all along. Because she showed, when they saw their past when she was younger, she was like, oh, use a probability control spell or something like that to, like, stop the bomb from going off. And she's like, what? No, the bomb just never went off. Like, we didn't know it wouldn't go off. We weren't sure. So, like, I think a lot of people are taking that as, like, also Agatha basically saying, oh, you've had powers all along. But, like, she's saying, no, it just never went off, which I'm not exactly sure. I feel like Wanda still got her powers from the Mind Stone. I don't think she had powers all along, unless that is the case and they're now saying she is a mutant because they are bringing the X-Men in at some point. So maybe it's that, I don't know, but for the time being I'm still saying that, you know, she just got her powers from the Mind Stone, so there's that. And then of course we then cut to a scene where Wanda's now in the Avengers complex. It's post Age of Ultron, before Civil War, and you know, we see her and Vision start to develop their friendship and then relationship, where Vision, of course, he comes and sees her in her room and talks with her a bit, how she's still sad, saying the only thing that will bring her comfort and joy is seeing Pietro again, and she's also watching Malcolm in the Middle. And of course, Vision has a very nice and poignant, sweet line that a lot of people are reflecting on now. Him saying, what is grief but not love, but if love persevering, which is it's a very sweet line. It's a really well done line, and it's really great to see no raw with Vision and Wanda showing Wanda's grief, but also Vision talking about how he's never really experienced grief because he's recently born. He's had no one he's loved yet to lose. But he wants to learn that, feel stuff like that, and also wants to understand how Wanda's feeling and such. And you start seeing their relationship form there, and it's quite sweet and quite nice. And then, of course, we cut to then another flashback of Wanda goes into Sword, and of course wants to get Vision's body back. And here's where the major kicker starts to come in, the big reveal, because what we were led to believe was that Hayward said in a prior episode that she came in and stormed the compound and took Vision's body, and then this whole thing happened with Westview. Not the case. She comes in, she came to Sword to just bury Vision. She wasn't going to try and revive him, she came to just bury his body. She came in and asked to see him, and they show her his body, and she tries breaking the glass, and then, of course, Hayward being his natural dick, as always, he's being such an ass to Wanda. I'm like, no, you can't take her. He's not your property and such. He's a weapon. He costs $3 million. No, you can't get out. You can't have her. Being just a tool as always, Hayward. And then of course Wanda breaks into the room where they're dissecting his body, taking him apart. And he says, no, it's fine. Just let her see for herself. And he says, I'll let you say goodbye at least here. So she lets her go in, and she then tries doing that thing they did in Infinity War where she used her powers kind of on the Mind Stone to feel him and stuff. And she tries to do that on his head again, but it doesn't work because he's dead now, and makes her sad. And then she leaves, which it surprised me very much. I'm like, so she does she take the body at all? And then she drives. She has a note in her car, which is a note which we later learned from Vision, and then she drives all the way to Westview, and we now finally see what Westview was like before the dome situation. We see how it was not exactly the best of a town. It was I wouldn't say it was crappy of a town, but it wasn't it was a fine town, but people weren't really the most cheerful. People looked kind of sad a bit, not being happy and such. And then Wanda goes to the site of where her house was in the show, but there was no house there. And we've seen her note that it was a map of Westview and directions there with a little heart on it signed by Vision saying to grow old together, signed Vision. And we learned that apparently that he wanted to build a house here with her so they could grow old together. He was probably planning this while they were on the run in between Civil War and Infinity War. So it's quite sad. And then, of course, the big reveal happens there where Wanda then, just in such heartbroken and grief, she just can't take it anymore. She then just explodes with a burst of energy that just then creates the dome and encapsulates the whole town, and she creates the house and sets it all into a 50s setting like the first episode. And then she creates her own Vision. She uses her powers to manifest a new version of Vision. So we finally learned all the details. We learned now that Wanda did create a dome, which I was right. I always thought she did create a dome, even though she kept saying, no, I have no idea what this is about. But she did. She created the dome. This is her doing. But Vision, that was surprising with Vision. So she never had his actual body. This has not been the actual Vision, at all. This has been a manifestation. She created a Vision, which explains why in two episodes ago on the Halloween episode, why when he left the dome, he was kind of being torn apart. So it was very confusing. Wait, why is that happening to him? Wouldn't he just drop dead? Just go back to normal being dead because he's just a dead corpse? But no, it's not him at all. He's not an actual physical thing. It's a manifestation she created. So that makes sense. Which now makes me wonder what will happen if Billy and Tommy leave the dome, because I assume they'll probably leave the dome at some point because they're probably going to do Young Avengers at some point, so they probably want them to stick around. So I wonder, would they dematerialize? Would that happen? Or because since they were actually born from Wanda, naturally born. Well, not naturally born, but you know what I mean, pregnancy born and stuff. So, I just spit a little bit there, sorry. But they were born like that, so I wonder, maybe that, because they're born from, pregnancy, would they be able to survive leaving the dome? I don't really know, so it's kind of confusing. So, But then, of course, the episode ends. They're finally done going through Wanda's past, and then Wanda goes out into the street to find Agatha has her 2 kids in a chokehold and such, which is not good. And then Agatha starts like talking down to Wanda, and Wanda's trying to tell her kids it's okay, it's gonna be fine. And Agatha says, you know, you're an extremely powerful sorcerer, Wanda. That what you've been doing, this is called chaos magic, and like what you're called, you're a Scarlet Witch. So we finally have gotten her name in the show now in the MCU. She's finally now going to go by Scarlet Witch. Which, going back to the thing with the Mind Stone, I think, because since she called her that, I feel like Scarlet Witch probably means that's an actual term of a actual group of sorcerers in the universe. So there's probably a bunch of other people who have gone by a Scarlet Witch name because they just are that kind of powerful sorcerer. So I feel like that's what probably Wanda was probably seeing in the Mind Stone, like that's probably just the natural clothing of a Scarlet Witch, which, I mean, she was dressed in that costume for Halloween, but she said that was like a fortune teller from like Sokovia, but maybe the fortune teller was a sorcerer. I mean, who knows? That's what I'm thinking, at least, what the origin behind is of how she gets that costume, because it's just the natural costume of a Scarlet Witch sorcerer. So that's what I'm thinking. And then, of course, the episode ends, but once again we have another after credits scene, which I suspected we would have after credits scenes again after the one we had last episode. And it's a big reveal after credits scene. It's a bigger reveal than the last one, where we see Hayward now has a plan to try and get back to that dome, where he reveals they've now fully reconstructed Vision's body. And now he's like his body's now white, and they were trying to get him online for the longest time, but they didn't have the right power source. But now they have like a sample of Wanda's power, because they still have that Stark drone that she kicked out of the dome that has remnants of her energy and power. So they're using that to power up Vision's body. So they now brought him back online, and so stuff is going to go down a bit. So this is like in the comics how at one point Vision. He was, I don't really know, I don't know how it happened, but at one point he does become, his body does become this like pure white color scheme. So I think he got destroyed at one point, but then rebuilt into that form. I'm not exactly certain of how that design comes about in the comics. A weird thing though about it is that, of course, when Vision dies in Infinity War, his body went like turned gray. But then when we see his body at Sword, it's back to his regular like magenta pinkish red color. Which I'm like, okay, why is it that color now? But now it's just pure white, so I'm like, alright, so I'm not sure if that's a continuity error with his body being his magenta pink color, because why would it be gray? Like, how do they get it to that color again? Like, I don't really know, but it's interesting. So, I'm wondering if this now means that Vision, since we now know that this Vision was never the real Vision, since now we have the actual Vision's body online again, like, will he be back now permanently in the MCU? I'm not really sure. I feel like I doubt they're gonna get rid of him now. Like, I feel like what might happen is that either two things might happen now with Vision. Either this new updated version of Vision might be more robotic than ever. Like, he might just be, but he might return to the good side, might rejoin the Avengers, but he might be super robotic, like doesn't have the same feelings for Wanda right now. Or Wanda might somehow merge the Vision she created with that one, like that Vision she created might go inside the actual Vision, and like it might restore, like, you know, his humanity, I guess. Because that's the interesting thing with this Vision that Wanda's created, because she created this Vision, but he thinks acts like his own thinking, like, sentient person. Like, he thinks his own thoughts. Like, he's going against like Wanda. Like, he's trying to break free the dome and such. So like, so I'm not really sure. Like, so it's when she was creating Vision, like, I don't know. It's super weird. Like, I'm not sure. I don't know where I read this or saw a theory video. Maybe it's from New Rockstars, where they said the Mind Stone in Vision's head in the show is technically still the Mind Stone or something. I think because since Wanda got her powers from the Mind Stone, she was able to manifest a sort of Mind Stone thing. I don't really know where I've seen this from. Maybe I'm completely wrong about what I'm saying. I don't know. It's like, I'm really confused by that, because I know since she had her powers granted her by the Mind Stone, that probably helped her create Vision that way. So maybe she's like, their minds were tied together sort of in a weird way. So maybe that's why she could recreate him with his own personality and form thinking self and whatnot. But I don't really know. It's very confusing. So I'm interested in seeing what goes down next. I mean, we have the final episode of the season now, or the series, because I really doubt we're gonna get a season 2 of the show. I'm not really sure what you would do with season 2. Like, so I don't know. There's like a lot of stuff's gonna go down. Last episode's gonna be very exciting. Because of course this episode was fully focused on Wanda and Agatha, so there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen next episode. We need to see what this other Pietro did with Monica. We need to know why Pietro looks like Evan Peters, for crying out loud. Don't make it just be, oh, coincidence, he looks like Evan Peters. Like, please, I'll be pissed if that happens. We're gonna see what happens with this other Vision now. I mean, the actual Vision now, what's gonna happen there. Like, what's going to happen. We also need to know about this mystery big cameo that we've still not seen, who, like, I'm really intrigued to see who it is. I know Paul Bettany has said that it's an actor he's always wanted to work with his whole life, so it's clearly someone big. It's a big actor, and also, at least I think it's a big actor, but it's going to be like some kind of big actor playing some significant character, because they said it'll be on par with the big cameo reveal in Mandalorian Season 2, so it has to be someone big. It can't be Doctor Strange. Like, I think that'd be too obvious. I mean, I was thinking, like, I hope that's not who they're implying, because I've said before, we all know, I think we all suspect Doctor Strange is going to show up because, you know, we all know this show connects to Multiverse of Madness. Wanda's in Multiverse of Madness, so I think we all just kind of expect Doctor Strange to show up in the final episode, which I think he will. But I started thinking, like, maybe it's him, because Paul Bettany never actually worked with Benedict Cumberbatch in the MCU. They never shared screen time during Infinity War or Endgame. But I'm like, no, it'd be way too obvious if it was Doctor Strange, because we all suspect he's going to be in the show. So, has to be someone else. I mean, like, there's a lot of theories that it could be Magneto. I think that is a good possibility. So, I don't know, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen there. So I'm really intrigued. So, yeah. But yeah, overall I give this episode a 8 out of 10 as well. So yeah, it was very good, so I'm intrigued to see where we go next week for the final episode of the show. So this is very exciting. We're coming to a big halt now. Like, everything's coming together now. It's very interesting. So we basically know everything except, like, certain things still. So yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes. So yeah. Thank you all for watching. Tell me in the comment section down below, what did you all think of episode 8 of WandaVision? And yeah, stay tuned for next week for my episode 9 review of the season finale of WandaVision. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys all later. Goodbye.